All right, welcome back. We are going to be going over our Week 5 overview. We're going to start it off hot. This Thursday, we have Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I'm looking forward to this game. I think that this will be a good test of the Bucks. I mentioned when we talked about Week 4 that the Bucks are one of those teams that I'm not sure what way it's going to go this season, and the Falcons look pretty decent. So this could be a good test for honestly both of them, but especially the Bucks, who I'm a little bit more on the fence of.
Said it before, I'll say it again. You've got the Buccaneers, you have the Falcons, and you have the Saints. And whenever there's any combination of those three teams, pick a name out of a hat. I tend to have no expectations. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Baker's going to play well. I also think on the Falcons front, you're going to have a great running game. Like Robinson's been playing
Mm-hmm.
great. Honestly, I think he's going to continue to. The Buccaneers will also allow for a little bit more of the run game to go for the Falcons. I think when it comes down to the Falcons, I think of coaching and how they're going to coach this game against the Buccaneers. For the Buccaneers, I think it's the players. I think Baker obviously has been playing great. I think you also obviously have Mike Evans. I think you have Godwin, like we talked about earlier. I think the Falcons do have good players as well. I just think the coaching kind of plays a huge, factor into that one. Rolling into another game where you have players and coaches on Sunday to start it off, we have Jets and Vikings. You have Aaron Rodgers, who everyone will throw him as like one of the best quarterbacks in the game, hasn't really been playing like that. And then on the other side, you have Sam Darnold, where you had over the years, everyone's been saying he sucks, and yet he's been playing awesome, almost throwing for 1,000 yards so far this season with 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. I think that will be a good game. We'll just be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, agreed. And that is a London game. It is kicking off at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, so that'll be a nice early game. Not sure I'll be able to catch that one, but yeah, I think I think it'll be interesting. Rogers has had some glimmers of hope. I talked about it last week. Their game against the Patriots, he looked really good, had a lot of receivers involved, but last week against the Broncos was a completely different story. Good test for the Jets, and will be interesting to see what happens in London. Moving on, we have the Panthers at Bears. This is exciting. Go Bears. I really hope that they can take that energy that they had last week and continue it into this week. I think that there is hope for another Bears win, but I don't know. Andy Dalton looking pretty good.
I think it's a pivotal game for the Bears purely because everyone's expecting them to beat the Panthers because the Panthers have sucked. However, like you just said, the Panthers have a quarterback switch up, and it's a veteran quarterback who knows what he's doing. The Panthers could come out and win this. I think the Panthers are going to not be the team that we're used to this season. So that's why I'm saying it's a pivotal game for the Bears, not just for perception, but for confidence as well. I think they definitely need to get this out of the way, go against a veteran QB, get a good win. It's a home game. You then go to 3-2. Personally, I think that'll be awesome. I hope Caleb has a great game. Yeah, that will be one that is on the lower interest of mine on the 10 a.m. slate. That being said, a game that I am more curious about: Ravens at Bengals. We kind of talked about how Joe Burrows is getting into the rhythm. The Bengals feel like they're missing something, yet they're still getting it done, doing okay. 1-3, let's not forget. And then you got the Ravens, who started off not the best, but it's the Ravens. I mean, Lamar plays great ball. Derrick Henry's had an unstoppable start so far for going to another team. Like, it's been awesome. I personally have high hopes for this game. I hope it's just an offensive battle. Jamar, Derrick Henry, whatever you got going on both sides. It could be any given player, but I think it'll be great.
Yeah, agreed. I think that my biggest concern for this game is Cincinnati's defense. I think there's a lot of holes in it. I'm not sure. I think that like the Bills defense, their defense had looked good and they just like got ran over in their game against the Ravens this week. So I think that could be a little bit scary for the Bengals, but good game nonetheless. Next up we have Miami at New England. I mean, I could be here for a few minutes trying to figure out anything notable to say about this game, but we'll see. It's gonna be a kind of probably a little bit of a sleeper of a game in terms of I will want to be sleeping through that, not watching, but who knows?
Dare I say, game of the year? You know, no. I mean, as far as games go, which you really don't care about, I fully expect the Dolphins to finally get something going. It's a perfect week for them to kind of recalibrate as they're prepping for it. You've got the Patriots. I expect nothing from. If the Patriots come out and win, I think that's awesome. No expectations. I hope the Dolphins use this as a hey, not to underestimate a team, but come on, get something going. Get Tyreek going. Maybe get creative in what you're doing. Like establish more of a run game. Whatever it is, let's get the kinks out. It's a 10 a.m. game. I don't think many people will be watching it. Another one that I have interest in, Browns at Commanders. Obviously, you know
Hmm.
how we feel about the Browns. Deshaun Watson just not playing well, but it's still the Browns. You've got a decent defense. You have players on the offense that can get it done. And you're going against the Commanders. It's an away game for the Browns. I mean, the Commanders are hitting their stride. It's awesome. I love each game Jaden plays. He seems more confident, which is exactly what you want to see on a new draft pick. I mean, it's just awesome. But throwing for 890 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. I think this game you kind of want to see him throw a bit more into the end zone. Obviously, yeah, we know he can run, which is awesome. That's a huge facet in today's NFL.
Yeah, agreed. Dare I say this is probably one of the better defense that they have faced this season. So that could also be a good test. That should be a good one. Next up on the 10 a.m. slate, we have the Colts at Jags. Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville surprised me playing the Texans last week. So this could really go either way. I'm not really going to put it on the top of my need to watch list, but should be interesting nonetheless.
Not much I'll say on this one, other than it'll be interesting to see how the Colts approach this. Obviously, players have been injured. Obviously, there's switch ups. It'll be interesting to see how they go. At least they're going against the Jags, who have sucked. Hopefully, the Jags can bounce back. This will be a game I truly do not care about. That being said, a game I do care about, Bills, Texans.
Hmm.
That is going to be awesome. I hope CJ and Allen come out and it's just downfield cannon game, which would be so awesome. I mean, CJ's got over 1,000 yards already, 6 touchdowns. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. We know it can be done. Both teams have weapons. I know I talked earlier that it feels like it's just Josh Allen. No, he's got great players, but Josh Allen just outshines them. Where on the Texans, you have CJ Stroud, who's amazing, yet you also have a great cast supporting him who is putting up numbers. I think that game is going to be awesome.
Agreed. I'm looking forward to that one. One I'm not really too pumped about, which is one of the 105 kickoffs, is Raiders at Broncos. I mean, Broncos need a get right game after that situation last week, but I have faith in the Raiders here. I think that Minshew's looking good. Yeah, it will be interesting.
Game in Denver, two
Hmm.
teams, not the most exciting. Bo Nix versus Gardner Minshew, two NFL quarterback starters I never thought I would hear as a matchup, but yet here we are. Who knows what could happen? Just being transparent here, I really don't care about the Broncos. The Raiders could get it done. That'd be awesome. But yeah, 2-2, both teams. I don't know. However, Cardinals Niners, this could be an interesting game.
Hmm.
Like we've talked about, I think Kyler and the Cardinals are getting it going. I like them as a team. I think they have components on both sides of the field that can do well. And then you've got the Niners. Obviously, Christian's still out, probably going to be out most of the season. Who knows? They've got injuries, yet it's still the 49ers, who's a Super Bowl contender. I just don't know what's going to happen. This game makes me feel uneasy if I'm a Niners fan because it seems like it should be walk in the park, but What are your thoughts? You're the big Niners believer.
I think that this game will probably be similar to the Bills at Texans in terms of it just being an offensive showdown. I think there's going to be a lot of yards through the air by both quarterbacks. I think I have more faith in the Niners' run game. I really like Mason. It's obviously, yeah, it sucks. We have CMC out, but I'm really impressed with what Mason's been able to do out there. I think last week he was looking really good, not only just rushing, but receiving. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I mean, every game makes me nervous so far this season, but we shall see. It's at home for the Niners, so that makes me feel a little bit better, but am faithful though. Next up, we have the Packers at Rams. That's a 125 kickoff. Yeah, I don't know. I think this will be a closer game than some this week. I think that obviously, as we talked about, Love is looking good. Stafford is just always solid. I think the Rams have done a good job of getting guys in there that haven't really done a lot in previous seasons. I kind of had hope for Atwell, like the last two seasons, and he just like wasn't a leading receiver, but he's been looking good. So I think it'll be a close game, and I think that will be another game of a lot of yards through the air.
Totally. I mean, Stafford, he can definitely get yards. I think Jordan Love coming off such an intense game last week, I think he's going to play well. It's at Los Angeles. Conditions aren't going to apply. I think it'll be a good game. It'll be interesting to see how both teams' defense hold up because the offense, I agree with you. I think it's going to be just slung through the air, but who knows? This could also be one of those games where it's like just field goals somehow and we don't see it coming.
Well, I feel like the Rams may have a little bit of an advantage in terms of Kyron Williams is like their go-to guy on the ground. I think that, like I said, they've been doing a good job getting a lot of receivers involved, but to have Kyron Williams to back up on is pretty nice. So we'll see.
All we got in Sean McVay's back pocket is Kyron Williams. It'll be
Mhm.
interesting for the Rams. But so then you've got the Giants at the Seahawks. I think Seahawks, have been playing well. I know they're coming off a loss. They're gonna want to win. It's at home, and then you have the Giants.
Oh, those Giants. I don't know if we know what's going on with Neighbors. I think that he's listed as questionable, but if he doesn't play, I think it will be just a complete shootout. I mean, like I talked about, the Seahawks looked really good on offense last night. They had Walker involved, and he was just pretty much doing the whole thing. I mean, I do like the Giants' defense. I paid a little more attention to their defense this week, and I'm impressed with that side of their game. I'm not as confident in their offense, especially if Neighbors is out. I don't think it'll be pretty. Then we have the 5:20 kickoff. We have the Cowboys at the Steelers. This is a game I am honestly quite excited for. I think that this will be a get-right game for the Steelers. And I have been hopeful that Dallas will get something moving on offense, not just because of the emotional support I have to provide to Jordan when CD Lamb does not much. At least he did some good stuff last week, but I don't know. I don't know. I have a little bit more faith in Fields and what he's done, but this really could go either way.
I mean, if you think about what you just said and imagine like a year ago, that's a wild thing to say. But he has been playing great. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I just love both teams and what they've been doing. I like recently, recency bias, of course, I have to preface that is something I struggle with drastically. But I will say, it's in Pittsburgh. I don't think that's going to make a difference for the Cowboys. I think that, they're going to take to air. I think they're going to try to get CD involved as much as they can. I think they need to get Dak going more because when he does get going, he does well. That being said, the Steelers have been playing really good football. I love Justin. I think he is a dual threat quarterback in the NFL that should be a starter. I think he's doing great. I'm glad to see that Tomlin's just kind of let him do his thing. I got high hopes. I got high hopes for that one. So, it'll be a good cap off for Sunday. And then, of course, there's nothing better than after a weekend of football, You go to work on Monday, you're just so sad with the weight of responsibilities in the world, and then what do you get? You get an all-time matchup. Two dynasties going at it. On one hand, you have Super Bowl champ galore, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and on the other, you have just absolute dogs, New Orleans Saints. That is going to be something. It could either be the worst Monday of my life or it could be the best. And I'm just going to leave it there and leave it to interpretation until we do our picks.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in the Saints this week. As I talked about, I think the Chiefs are a little depleted on offense, and I think that the Saints could come out and steal this win. It was obviously a really close game last week that they played with the Falcons, and I think that they will be coming out with probably some revenge in their game. So that'll be interesting. Then we have 4 teams on a bye. This is the first bye week. We have the Lions, the Titans, the Eagles, and the Chargers all have a bye this week. So that's kind of ruining some things on my fantasy lineups. But, this is not about me. This is about the greater good. So yeah, first bye week, and yeah, we'll see what happens this week 5, big week.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. All right, next we are going to get into our predictions, so stay tuned for that.